All right, so welcome back to the channel. My name's Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
This is Conversations with the Crawleys, and on this channel we do a lot of conversations dealing with faith, family, relationships, and we do recaps, reviews, and commentaries on some of our favorite shows. This one is all about the latest episode of Family or Fiancè, and yeah, definitely, there's a choice that needs to be made with this one. And BRIJET, if you're watching, Fiancè. All right, so if this is content that you enjoy, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe, hit the like, request notifications,
and share.
And we will see you in the comments. Consider becoming a member by clicking the join button down below, as well as checking out the merch store for what's available there. All right, so
we're taking deep breaths.
Yeah, because this one was irritating. Yeah, so BRIJET and Andre are getting engaged. They're engaged. They're getting married.
Correct.
They met on IG. She slid into his DMs.
Mm-hmm. It was a soft slide.
It was like,
soft slide.
Hey,
do you love the Lord? Because the Lord loves you.
Okay. But she lives in California. He lives in Kansas City, Missouri. Mm-hmm. So not like they are right around the corner from each other.
No.
It's a plane trip.
It's a plane trip.
It's a plane trip.
A serious plane trip.
There was something as far as like she moved back to California because her dad passed.
Her dad was sick.
Dad was sick, right.
And the family came together to take care of the father who was ill.
Yes.
Which he turned out to end up passing away, unfortunately.
Correct. Yes.
But she did get an opportunity to meet a young man on Instagram, like you said. Mm-hmm. And so they talked about 3 months.
Yes. Their courtship, as far as them figuring out whether or not they were going to make it, was 3 months, but they're still taking like a year or so to be actually married, right?
Right, and they visit each other.
They visit each other a few times, right? They actually met up in Vegas. Mm-hmm. They are practicing abstinence, so kind of not hard to do when you live miles away.
Exactly.
But even when they do meet up, right? When they do meet up, they are still practicing abstinence. And they will move once they do become married. She'll move to Kansas City.
Right.
So she's going to leave
where she is and move there. Yes.
So he, as far as the issue, he feels misunderstood by her family. He's like, I don't know that they really know and understand who he is and what have you. Now, even as far as the whole concept of them being in courtship for 3 months, our story, which we still got to do that video, but our story is that after about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks max, we knew that this was going to be the thing, right?
Right. It was about 2 weeks.
Right. We still did take about a year and a half, finished up school.
Courtship.
Yep.
And as they were indicating that they know that at the end, the plan is to get married.
Right.
So they're just letting the family know, like, look, this is what our plans are. Mm-hmm. But the concerns came up. And so that's why they decided to write in to Family and Fiancè.
Yes. Now, with them practicing abstinence, she does make a point of stating that she is not a virgin, but she did decide somewhere along her journey that she wanted to re-establish that as far as not engaging in that until she found the right person, right? So she's bringing her mom, her sister, and her younger brother. He is bringing his mom, his brother, and his best man. Mm-hmm. And this will definitely be the first time that everyone has met. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we've always mentioned in the past,
yes,
when families don't get a chance to meet each other, that gives another opportunity for confusion. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, who is this person? Where do they come from? What are their intentions? I don't know them, but now they're a part of their lives. And so generally, initially, that's always the concern, right? You want to protect the person you love and make sure they're marrying someone that's going to take care of their loved one.
Right. Absolutely. So her family arrives first and getting tour of the house, right? Which it always makes me laugh kind of when they're like, oh my goodness, this is our house. Oh my. No, y'all just using it as an Airbnb, if you will, for a couple of days.
It's a hotel for a couple of days.
Right. They changed the sheets. It ain't your place. And you hope they change the sheets. Let's put it like that.
Right.
So they're walking around. They're getting the tour. Her family's getting the tour. And she brings them up to
the master
suite, right? And sees both of their suitcases there, both BRIJET and Andre's suitcases. And the mom was like, oh, no, y'all ain't sleeping in the same room.
They were like, no, she asked, right? Mm-hmm. So what's the arrangements going to be for y'all? Because it shouldn't even start out with his case in here. So what's the arrangement? Mm-hmm. And she kind of like, well, we're going to be talking about that later, and kind of brushing it off. So they're looking at the rest of the house.
Yeah.
And going through that, and that's when the doorbell rings again.
Yes. So then his family arrives, right? The moms meet. Nothing major there because...
As always, right? Everybody meets, but Tracy always meets with the couples,
right,
as well,
right. And so, yeah, when she met, she kind of gave them their assignments, right? So now they're having the family meeting where both sides are laying out, these are our concerns, right? So his brother is basically saying, I'm just concerned about the rush. It seems like it moved kind of fast. I need to know who she is. Need to feel comfortable with the fact that you guys are actually thinking this through. The mom was concerned for her future daughter-in-law. It's like, I'm concerned about her moving away from her family. How's that going to work out? How's this going to take that, right?
This is Andre's side of the family talking.
Yeah. And then his best friend is like, look, this happened just really quick, but I want to take some time, use this weekend to get to know BRIJET.
Makes sense.
Sounds
good so far.
Now on to her side of the family. Her brother says, I want to know, your view on marriage, view on family, get to know who you are.
Got it.
Sister says, I wanted to get to know who you are. This came up kind of quick. Who you?
Makes sense.
Gotcha. Mom is, I want to know if he really loves you. Talking from Andre to BRIJET. I want to know if he really loves her. And if he is emotionally available. And if y'all sleeping in the same room, I'm leaving now. This ain't going to work for me. I'm leaving out and I'm heading out now.
That's what she said.
So BRIJET's like, okay. And the mom's like, oh, you're not going to answer? She's like, well, this whole premise was for you all to lay out your concerns. We'll have those conversations at a later time. Thank you, BRIJET. She did put her foot down. Yes. Respectfully,
because they have to break up in groups and go into that. And I believe that's a conversation, since you decided to have it in public, but it should be between you and your daughter.
Right. So she goes off with her mom.
Well, after they meet, right?
Right. After the family meeting where everybody expresses their concerns, she does pull her mom aside.
Okay.
And she's talking with her mom, and she's like, her mom made her feel bad and feel like a harlot. Those are her words, right? And she's laying out, you keep doing this, and I want to make sure that you understand this is how I'm feeling. The mom is kind of like, okay.
Like, I hear you, but I don't hear you.
Right.
I don't understand where you're coming from.
And then,
out of nowhere,
the sister comes, and she's like, is this a constructive conversation?
I'm really concerned when a sibling can allow another sibling to have a conversation with their mother in private.
Right.
She didn't invite you to come in and sit in the conversation. Your mother doesn't need a protector in this situation. They're not yelling. They're not screaming. Nobody's putting hands on each other. She is, in a respectful manner, as an adult, talking to another adult about how that adult makes them feel.
Yep.
And it turns out to be her mother.
Yep.
And so interrupting it, I feel that that's disrespectful as a sister. Because what you're saying is that you don't feel that you're trying to protect your own mother when you're talking to her. Yeah. But at the same time, as a sibling, you need to be protected sometimes from a parent.
Okay. Yep. Let's go on, because I'm just letting y'all know this one had both of us kind of hot.
And it's coming from a place of love and concern. And when you see trauma and how it affects people and affects family circles, and have my own personal experience of it, I feel like we can speak from a place of love and concern.
Yep.
When we're talking about these shows. These are real people with real issues.
Yep.
And they decide to come on national TV, which is very brave for them to do so.
Yep.
But as an outsider looking in, I got to call a spade a spade. All right, dear.
All right. So she meets with his family, right? And again, their concern was the engagement was very fast. But she acknowledges that. She's like, yes, it was quick. But we're still taking time. So again, for some folks, a quick engagement can be kind of alarming, but how that's handled, right?
Well,
I would be concerned I would be concerned for my own child, right? If there was an engagement that happened 2 weeks and then they're getting married the third week.
Right, but that's not the place, because she specifically indicate this is a courtship. And some people don't understand the difference between dating and courtship.
Very true.
I think that she did a very good job explaining what courtship is. Is that in this time frame, under the belief of them believing in Jesus Christ, that they have been divinely put together, and that their belief systems and the things that they have planned and feel like their purpose lines up.
Yep.
So the end goal is marriage.
Yes.
So it's defined. We indicated that we're committed to one another.
They know what their goal is. They know where they're going.
And now it's just, okay, what about us as individuals? Who are we as individuals? What things do we need to work on? What are going to be our challenges? But we have our end goal is to get married, and this is our date.
Yeah.
So 3 months, I feel like that's fair to say, okay, I know that this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with,
Right.
and move on. And you may have your different perspective.
Right.
But depending on how you meet, whoever you meet, you make the decision on that.
Yep.
You know?
So she does talk about partnering with her husband, that's kind of her goal, what have you. The question comes up about sleeping arrangements. And she says that they have not slept together as far as having sex, right? She then says that he sleeps on the couch and she sleeps in the bedroom. Okay. And she acknowledges to his family that she has difficulty standing up for herself with her family. Okay. Now, on the other side, with his meeting with her family, he says that Bridget says that Andre knows her better than Bridget's family does. Now, I'm going to say, I get what you were saying, Andre, but that probably wasn't the right thing to say.
No. That's not the way you want to come for them.
Yeah.
You want to keep everything about you because they don't know you. And so, to me, it's just more like, hey, I feel like I've really gotten to know her. And there's a connection there that I feel that no one else has shared.
Yes.
So we can keep it politically correct until we can understand who we are, our heart, and where we're coming from. But Andre is like, you're not going to come for me.
Because here's the thing, and this is where I can identify in some respects with Andre. Andre is like, I've seen how you are treating the person that I care a lot about. And I'm going to, as her protector, as her future husband, I'm putting myself in that protector role. I'm going to let you know that the protection starts and stops with me. That I'm going to basically not allow you to continue to mishandle her the way that you've mishandled her. So I completely understand why he said what he said.
Oh, yeah.
I think that just because this is the first meeting, that probably was not the best best opportunity to say it. Correct. But it probably did need to be said at some point in their relationship. Okay?
Yeah.
The mom calls him a distraction. Then it comes basically to the point they ask about the sleeping arrangement. He says that they have slept in the same bed.
They haven't had sex.
They still have not had sex, right?
But they have slept in the same bed. And so I think at the very minimum, he's being honest, right? Because he could have said something else.
Yep.
But he's very forthcoming with everything. And he's making it very clear that, look, my intentions is that I love her and we're going to stay, abstinent. Now, what he could have done better, because from Bridget, she said when they first met, before she could even say that she was abstaining from sex, he mentioned it first. Right. And so when the other party is mentioning it first, that's on top of their mind. Right. So those are the things he could have resolved, their fear, if you can. Even though everyone who's watching this saying, this is none of their business, they're adults, that is correct.
Absolutely.
it really is not the mom's or the family's business what they do.
The sister or the brother.
Because they're adults and they have to make adult decisions.
Yep.
But since it's been out there, he had to address it.
Yep. So that was pretty much it.
Hold on.
Oh, no, he does say something else about the fact that...
Because the family says, well, we're a very close-knit family.
Right.
We're close. And we don't want you just coming in and pretty much tearing up our family. Because we don't know you.
And Andre's like, that's all well and good, but y'all be talking about her behind her back. So I don't know how close y'all are. Let's just call it, what'd you say, a spade a spade? Mm-hmm. Y'all keep saying y'all got these grand thoughts of who you all are, but I'm seeing who you really are.
I'm seeing, because he said, because my family is a close family. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and he puts it on them when there's a way where he could talk about what he sees as a cohesive family unit.
Absolutely.
So again, he comes out with his sword out.
He's swinging.
He's slicing.
So then they do get to dinner, right, where everybody's sitting around the dinner table. And, of course, the questions start coming up, or in recaps, if you will, of how the family meetings went with each side. And then the issue about them sleeping in the same bed comes up, right?
And how they're not matching up with what they're saying.
Which, yes, they did not match up their stories. She's basically saying that she didn't match it up because, or she didn't tell the entire piece because she was like, that's a conversation that I knew it was going to turn left.
And she's like, my mother's very critical. Mm-hmm. And so it's hard for me to be honest when someone doesn't allow me to be honest.
And state what's happening. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
we getting riled up.
Yep. Mom and the sister's like, if Daddy was here, Daddy would never allow this to happen. This would not be happening. So Andre's like, oh, really? So, Mama, did you know that your daughter who over here criticizing us, and we're telling you we haven't slept together, do you know that she and her husband lived together before they got married?
And then the mother said, yeah, after they got married, I found that out. So here we go, another daughter.
And this is the same daughter that interrupts the conversation saying, is this a critical conversation? Or was she a crucial conversation? Whatever she said.
Right. Constructive conversation. So here's another daughter that has to hide from their mother, a grown adult woman who decided to make a decision, has to hide from her mother instead of being able to tell her the truth. Mm-hmm. And after the fact, she learns out after they're married that they were living together. Mm-hmm. Now, does that mean they were sleeping together? Who knows?
We don't know.
That's their business. Mm-hmm. But what Andre's trying to point out, how can you throw a rock at me when you haven't looked in the mirror yourself?
Yep. People in glass houses shouldn't throw rocks.
So the daughter gets upset, the oldest, or
the sister
gets upset, and she runs out and leaves the table. Well, if you're going to start a mess, you need to clean the mess up. See, you throw stuff and you say stuff that you ain't willing to clean up. Why? Because you're in your own trauma. Mm-hmm. Hurt people.
Yep.
And so she had to leave the table. I can't believe you said that about me. Then why are you talking about me? Obviously.
The hypocrisy was just...
It was like, obviously, you didn't do right, and we're saying we're doing right. If you don't want to believe that because of how you handle your relationship,
right,
don't put that on us.
Yep. And so Bridget also, after the sister gets up and runs away, Bridget is kind of like, Andre, shh.
I got it.
Andre's like, nah, we gonna say this. So then Bridget does say that she's tired of her mom putting her down and making her feel less than. She's like, look, if nothing else, you need to understand this is where I'm feeling. So I think that this environment for Bridget gave her the courage and the tools to voice her feelings and how she's been felt in this.
Well, and as Tracy and they were talking when they had their meeting.
Well, before that, the basically he does go. His mom changes rooms so that they can accommodate their whole thing, right?
What I'm talking about was when they first met.
Okay.
When Tracy and them first, when they came in, since we really didn't go in depth on that, she said she had did some work, right? Because it comes to some realization. She had a red pill and a blue pill.
Yep.
And someone was offering her the truth.
Yep.
And she decided to take that pill. And so she tells her mom, you be calling me a harlot. You make me feel less than because of my past and now in my future when I'm telling you the truth. You don't even believe me. And that's very hurtful for a sibling to know from a parent that the first thing you think of is something negative and ugly about me.
Right.
Instead of saying, okay, I'm going to trust my daughter and be hopeful that, was she committed to the Lord? Because she has to commit to the Lord. You can't be saved for nobody else.
Come on.
And so she committed to the Lord because this is what they're saying. They're saying that they're believers of Christ. And so you have to allow that.
Yep. So his mom changes rooms.
Or says like, you know what, let me help the situation out.
Right.
You can stay here. I go in there,
They work on that out.
We can work on that. And they didn't want them to do that, right? She was just like, I can't even sleep. Right. You can have the whole room.
Yeah.
Because this done tore me up inside and out because this is what I deal with all of my life.
Right. So then on day 2, Andre does pull the sister aside and he apologizes to her for blasting her on her hypocrisy.
Because the only thing she was worried about, her kids seeing this later on.
Yeah.
Because that's what she says before she leaves the table. What are my kids going to think? Well, that you were being grown. And if you want to explain to your kids why you lived with something before then and why you feel that you should wait, then do that. Because the truth is always much better than them turning around and hiding stuff from you.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
So then they go and meet with Tracy for their next meeting, right? And Tracy's like, I see why you lie to your family. Listen.
I love her.
When the therapist is like, because here's the thing. Everybody wants truth, right? And everybody advocates truth. But when the therapist is like, I understand why you lie. You're not lying just to lie. Like that first one that we had where the chick just lied for no reason, right? Tracy's like, I get why you lying. She's like, her family does not know who she is. And she's all, and Bridget's like, she's not heard or acknowledged as it relates to her family. Tracy says they are trying to control you and keep you in child mode. And you can't be their child and his fiance at the same time.
I wish I could give her, I would give her an offering. What's your Cash App, Tracy?
Listen.
Because I will give you an offering because that is truth. Because as you grow up and you're in families where only time you show up and they still think you are a child, you have to determine and demand that I am an adult and I make adult decisions.
Yep.
Like it or not. Because see what happens when every time you make an adult decision, then they try to turn up the heat. They try to punish you without talking to you. They try to punish you by diminishing who you are. They lessen your value to keep you under their thumb. Why? Because it makes them feel more better than you. Or they keep them from realizing the trauma that they also face. And as Tracy was talking, she's like, look, I'm going to bring in my expert, my side gun, because that other doctor, she's good too.
Yeah. She probably need her own show too.
Okay.
But Bridget is like, what are the costs? What's going to be the consequences of this? And Tracy's like, yeah, there's going to be some repercussions, but it's going to be worth it to get where you need to be and get the healing that you need. Sometimes we don't want to have those difficult conversations because we're afraid of what it's going to involve us going through. Yes. But the other side of that is going to be necessary, and for Bridget to get where she needs to go, she got to have this conversation.
She has to have the conversation.
And she's having it in a safe space where she has someone that can advocate, not necessarily just on her side, but can advocate and bring a balance to the conversation. Now, we'll talk about the conversation in a moment.
And and I think anyone who may have saw the show and saw similarities in their own families, you can't confront family without having the support and someone that can give the language of how you're feeling.
Yes.
And hopefully that will help to start breaking down walls.
Yes.
But you just don't break down that spirit, and that's what it is, just overnight.
Right.
That thing goes beyond just the physical.
Yep. So they meet with the therapist, with the doctor, and trying to get, a handle on what's happened, what's going on. The mom says that BRIJET has never lived on her own, and so she's concerned because she's never lived on her own. Okay, well, she's going to live on her own or with her husband at some point. So do you expect her to be like 42 and then all of a sudden now she's okay to be married? Because
I don't understand, because the child didn't seem like she had any disability. It didn't seem like she was mentally incapacitated.
Right.
She seemed very intelligent.
And again, she's the one that said, I'm going to do the work, and she started doing the work. The brother who, I'll be nice, the brother basically said they're not whole people. Okay. I'll talk about the brother in a moment. All right. So the doctor's like, I'm sensing some trauma in here. I'm sensing some things in here that are not being spoken. What's going on?
And it's crickets.
It's crickets for a moment.
It's the silence is, it could have been, obviously we weren't physically there, but I could feel it.
Yeah. So BRIJET basically said like they were very sheltered growing up. So now again, you've been on this channel for any time, you know that we acknowledge we are pastors. We have been in the Christian faith for pretty much most of our lives, right? So we understand sometimes the things that happen as far as raising children as sheltered. I think with our children, we raised them balanced, right? We tried to. I don't think our kids will say that we kept them from a lot of things, but we did protect their environment, but we didn't shelter them. There's a difference. But she was saying that she was very sheltered, that she did not know what sex was. She just knew don't have sex. So that tells me that maybe there weren't conversations about your body, what's going on with your feelings.
Understanding what that is.
So basically there was somebody who I guess entered into their church sphere who pretended to be around the age of her and her friends, but actually they found out later on was much older, and that person basically took her virginity.
At 16.
At 16. So when mom and dad find out, mom and dad essentially are calling her a whore and all of these other things.
Call her out of her name. Call her a cuss word.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that is in the Bible. Not to my knowledge. And so to the point where she couldn't leave her room.
Yeah.
She could only go out to go to the bathroom. And I'm assuming eat. I don't know how she went to school. Maybe they were.
That was just school and they picked her up and dropped her off.
And dropped her off. And then in the middle of the night, someone who already been traumatized. Someone who's been sexually assaulted, because that's what the doctor called it.
Right.
Because it was unknowing.
Right.
And unknown. Because she's like, I didn't know what was going on with me. Pull her out of her bed and wanted her to confess to everything that happened. Well, it's hard to confess when you don't know what happened, other than I was laying there or whatever.
Right.
And so you re-traumatize and make the victim feel even worse.
Right. You re-victimize the victim.
About this.
Yep.
And then she says, and you'll always try to turn around what my story and my perspective of what happened. So she said, don't sit here and tell me this didn't happen.
Because mom did say that didn't happen. And sister gets up and takes off running.
Because she's crying. Because she knows at the very minimum, she must have been, if they're younger, she might not have known everything, but she knows something happened. And that it was a traumatic event.
Right.
That she was hurt. Even being the younger sister. So she had to leave. She couldn't even stand hearing about it. And
well, that's what I thought. But based upon her later conversations, I took it that she was upset that it was coming out, because that's when she also later on makes a statement of, my kids are going to hear this and all what have you. So I think that she got up because she was angry that she brought it up. Not that she was re-traumatized as far as being the big sister and it happened. I think she was angry that it was brought up, and that's why she got up and walked away.
I don't know, because she said the kid thing when it was talked about her. That's when she meant the kid thing. When
she mentioned, if I remember correctly, she mentioned it as well. Yeah, because she did mention it that she was bringing it up with the kids. Because when she came back in, that's what she talked about. My kids are going to see this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the mother starts to say that didn't happen, and that's when Bridget's like, no, we're not going to do that. She says that her mother made her to feel as if she was damaged goods, and then the mother starts to apologize, but then that apology starts to turn to shifting blame again. Here's when you have people that are narcissists, that are controlling, that have issues. When they can't even give you a full apology, but they try to take that apology and twist it onto you as far as this is why I did what I did, and it's your fault, really. That's not really an apology. And then Bridget's like, okay, I hear that, but why couldn't you say that 10 years ago? Why do we got to wait until this environment for you to say that, if that's really true? Because again, this has been a pattern, been a behavior. So at some point, this could have been said years ago without cameras, right?
It could, but we see it too often in the Black community, where whatever happens in this house stays in this house.
Yep.
And we keep re-traumatizing ourselves.
Yep.
And instead of acknowledging it, maybe we'll just sweep it on the rug like it never happened. And we'll just continue to move on, live, and be happy. But when we don't decide to say we want to have freedom, we're stuck.
Right. So after the meeting with the doctor and the sister comes back, that's when she's talking about her kids. But they're also saying that she was dragging them down to her level.
Well, because she leaves. Bridget leaves at this point.
Right. She's like, there's nothing more to me to say.
She's like, I can't. I done gave everything I had in this moment. I done told my truth in this moment.
Whether you like it or not.
And I gotta leave.
Yeah.
And so the doctor's like, understand.
Completely.
And so that's when just her mother, the sister, and the brother are sitting there.
So then a little later on.
Oh, did you finish?
Yeah.
Okay, because they started just blaming her.
Right.
And covering up for the mother.
And saying that Bridget was bringing them down to her level, and that she was exposing stuff that didn't need to be exposed, and da-da-da. A little later, the brother also is like...
gaslighting.
He is like OG&E gaslighting her.
The mother.
The mother, yes.
Because the mother's... You can see this glimpse of her. You see, when you've been traumatized, have what's it called? PTSD. You see her just kind of sitting there, and she's looking off in the distance, like she's not even there. And she's trying to, like, I know I hurt my daughter. You can see it in her body. And then here comes the brother, gaslighting her. Well, Mom, I know you were a good mom. I know you were trying to do the best for us. And it's all Bridget, blah, 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 blah. It's all her fault. No. What you're trying to do is cover up your trauma. Everyone recognized our parents did the best they could.
With the information they had.
With the information they had. But at the same time, sometimes they weren't a good parent. They messed up. And what they did was not fair to us. How they did it to us was not fair to us. And you have to acknowledge as much pain, as much love. Because there was both.
Yeah.
But just to say, I'm going to ignore the pain that you caused and only acknowledge the good part of you, that's allowing, you can't take the trauma of coming to the realization of how your own parent hurt you.
Yeah. I'm gonna just say this one was very, very personal for us, if you will. I think this one, there was a lot of things in here that we were like, yeah, we've seen some of this before. Okay. So they do have their final session with Tracy, and before they meet, Bridget is like, she tells Andre, she's like, look, I need you today. She's like, I need you to be there for me today, because it's about to be on like Donkey Kong. She tells Tracy that she feels that her family has banded together against her, and that's facts. That's actually what's happened, right? Tracy does bring up, she says, the majority of time people are behaving towards us the way that they are behaving or treating themselves. In other words, you are... the way that you talk about me is how you feel about yourself. So there's, if we just take that down the hill a little further, is there something in the mom's past that is making her feel like I've got to call out the harlot in you because I still feel something about the harlot in me? We'll leave that there.
Say la.
Okay. So she says Bridget says, look, she's gotten to the point, I don't care about their blessing. She's like, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. But I could care less about the blessing. And I think that that's a great place for this one to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There are times where, yes, you want your family's blessing.
Yeah.
But this is a time where you're not going to get it.
Nope.
Baby girl, listen, you're not going to get that. So it's time to move forward and move on.
And I like that they don't force the blessing on them.
Right.
I like how they take every couple and whatever their situation is. That's how it's going to play out. It ain't about, okay, we're going to do the blessing now. Come on, everybody. No, we're not. This is not how this is being produced.
Nope.
Which I'm appreciating it, because before the show, I was like, I don't know about the show.
Right.
You know, but so Tracy was like, I agree. And before, if I can remember correctly, I don't remember Tracy being at the blessing ceremony, or at least you see her.
Not in the episodes we've watched since we started watching. Tracy's not showing up at the blessing ceremony.
Correct. But this time, she made her presence known. And again, this is why I'm appreciating her even more, because she's like, you need all the support and the backing, even in this decision.
Yeah.
And being able to stand up in this area.
So, Tracy again reiterates they are not asking for your blessing. Then they cut kind of to the families, just how kind of they're saying. His mom is good with it. His mom's like, yeah, we good. Yeah. Her family says that the opportunity was lost. And again, mom says if dad was there, they would have packed their bags and Bridget would have been with them. So again, you're telling me that you're reinforcing this controlling, this overbearing, this psychological warfare. You've not changed anything. You're simply saying if your husband was there, if he had not passed away, that this whole cycle would still continue. Gotcha. That's all we need to know about you and your family. Okay. So we do get kind of the trailer at the end that lets us know
where they are,
that Bridget is still having some family issues
because she has to go back. She lives with her sister and her
lives,
brother-in-law.
Right. So she still lives in California. They have put a pause on her, and Andre put a pause on some of the wedding things. There's not saying they're broken up or anything, but they put a pause. Our hope is that Bridget leaves that environment. If that means that she finds a place in California, or if she just goes ahead and moves to Kansas City, gets her own place, whatever it may be. He's got a second bedroom.
I would say, the mother even sounds, I don't know what if this the support there, right?
Right.
And for her to get on her feet.
Yep.
Because I feel like until you can fully get out of that environment and be able to think and to understand, so you're not, because what happens is that you're so in robotic mode. It's just so ingrained in you.
Well, here's what it is. It's kind of like you can't heal because that wound keeps getting picked at.
That's true.
You're living in an environment that is literally picking at the scab every day.
But also when you're in an environment when there's controlling, you're so used to it, you don't even realize it's happening. Yep. That's what I'm trying to say.
I got you.
So you fall back into the same habits because you're in the same environment.
You had breakthrough because you had people that were there to support you and people that were there to walk you through your journey.
Correct.
But you don't have that now, so you find yourself falling back into the old ways of things operating. I got you.
Gotcha. Yeah. Just like the Matrix, right? They had the opportunity to get their goal was to get back into the cocoon. They wanted to live in this false reality, right? of everything is okay until they found out their real life.
Okay.
They were living hiding.
Listen, we're gonna make some We're gonna make some connections between everything.
I just like.
All right, so yeah, so again, this one, yeah,
it was deep. Only thing I wish her fiance well.
absolutely.
Now, I wish her and her family find the healing they need, but that's going to take time,
And that's going to take effort on their part.
And sometimes it doesn't happen immediately and right away.
And sometimes it's not worth the effort of you trying to force the effort in them. Sorry. So you just got to love from afar sometimes.
Yep.
Sometimes you have to love from the other side of the country.
Yep.
All right, that's it for this
All right,
one.
guys.
Love y'all. We'll see y'all next time.
Get out of this.
Have a great one. Be blessed.